Hello again, viewers. In this episode, we're continuing our look at the Death Borg Tribe, with a focus on their upgraded units. This first battle will be against the Machine Borg unit, specifically their robots, and our former villain ally is going to be Met. I realize my definition of villain might be a bit more expansive than what Scenario had in mind, but I didn't want to reuse the same four partners. I'm opening with Death Borg Delta again, just to see if she can get something going in this match. Although it's not going to be easy closing in on these build robots. And with a kick, Death Borg Delta's down. Next up is Death Borg Alpha 2, a weird cross between normal and double ninja, with the Death Eye being both the bomb and the double clone. It's taken out fairly quickly though. And next up is Death Borg Beta 2. Essentially revolver gunman with weaker bullets. You see his double recoil can still knock down, but it does a lot less damage. And because the build robot's lasers are so much better than my projectiles, Death Borg Beta doesn't last. And next up is Beta 3. Essentially a miniature hammer robot. His hammers have more range, but they don't stop projectiles, so it can be kind of difficult to use, especially against Borgs that have good projectiles like Build Robot. They do decent enough damage for the cost, so as far as Death Borgs go, you could certainly do worse. And now Death Borg Gamma 3 takes the field. It replaces Gamma 1's shield with a hammer that can be repeatedly tossed on connect. It's pretty easy to stun lock enemies with it, making Gamma 2 a surprisingly useful Borg. Of course, with Met's Arrow Ninja pinning the build robot in place, that makes it a lot easier. Of course, a pair of army robots are going to make doing that a lot more difficult. And I certainly can't afford to close in on either one of these. And without Met's Arrow Ninja, I won't even be able to pin him down anymore. Next up is Delta 2. Kind of the inverse of Delta 1, she only has projectiles, both the large bullet and the smaller ones. She's managed to do more than Delta 1 at least, but they don't do much damage, like Beta 2s. And unfortunately, that's her. And next up is Death Borg Delta 3. A Spinner Girl, but not able to destroy enemy shots. So, much worse than Spinner Girl. Still, she got some damage in. And next up is Zeta 2. We saw him before against the Hero Borgs. But he manages to last a bit longer here. It's essentially a cheaper normal samurai with an extra shot from the Death Eye following it. Again, not great, but you can use it with a pinch. And next up is Zeta 3. This is essentially Demon Samurai, but again without the sword growing mechanic. The projectiles are useful enough in that they manage to cause stumble when they connect, but again they don't do much damage, and trying to close in on an army robot that can take me out in a single melee attack isn't the best idea. Then with a hit from behind, next up comes Zeta 4, which we again saw against the Hero Borgs. His extra Death Eyes give him more lasers than Akuma Samurai, making it kind of useful. But because they're on gradual reload, firing them off quickly can leave you without shots for too long. It seems Met's brought out a Claw Worm, and its string shots are actually quite useful here, so long as I can force the enemy into them. It does more damage than mine at least. I actually managed to combo into Random Slash there. Still, these machines have a lot of HP, especially with Death Borg's not doing too much damage as it is. That leads to kind of a long fight. Unfortunately, none of the bigger machines show up. And next up is Lambda 2. This is one of the straight upgrades, as it's Lambda, but the extra Death Eye doubles its firepower. It's not nearly as good as the Sigma line, but it certainly does its job against these army robots. And these Megaton robots are actually even more dangerous, as their one-hit kill is now at long range. Still, at least I can manage to knock them over and prevent them from grabbing their hammers. And with Power Burst, Met can throw out a bunch of strings at once. Still, we all know how Lambda fights. So let's just speed that up and get it out of the way. I can't be sure, but I think that Megaton robot regrew its head. Which, it's kind of surprising that it waited long enough for that to actually happen. Still, thanks to quickly building up Power Bursts and staying out of their way, Lambda does a pretty good chunk of damage against the enemy here. Well, it seems Met's lost his Claw Worm and has brought out Shijima. While those Hammer robots are certainly dangerous, as they could probably take me out in a single hit, the Thunder robot is the real threat, for at least for now, as getting caught in that wire, it could come out of nowhere, and it would do a lot of damage to both me and Met. Not that the Hammers won't, and they come pretty close, but I'd really just like to get rid of Thunder first, as it actually has a projectile. And with that out of the way, a Drill robot shows up. Again, potentially threatening because it's projectiles, and I can't even hide behind things to get away from them. So it takes priority over the Hammer robots, at least for now. And Met's still plugging away. Though it seems he's been defeated now, so it's just me against the Horde. I'm making a point not to get anywhere near these, as I've been hit by too many of those army robot kicks to try and mess with the Machine Borg's melee attack. Still, even sped up, you can realize this is kind of frustrating, being a lone Lambda 2 against Hammer robots, as their ability to destroy bullets gives them an extra layer of protection. I certainly have the advantage here, but I can't lose focus at all, or I'll get hit. And this is just demonstrating while I can fly out of their range, at this height I'm too far up to actually hit them effectively. So I pretty quickly have to go back to flight canceling. I'm kind of swapping targets a lot just to try and keep them all in frame, because I really don't want one to sneak up behind me. I got one. I'm just glad none of these hammer robots thought to put down bombs, because I'd probably fly headfirst into one, not realizing it was out there. Yeah, and after enough shots, I managed to rebuild Power Burst. And now it's just down to this last quarter of health before we win. And that's game.
We showed them! Our force is invincible!
Yeah, the prizes are okay. And nothing really to write home about, but the robots are nice. So with that, we're moving on. And now we're fighting the diver unit. Our former villain of this fight is going to be Sho, as soon as I find him.
Alright. Let's do this!
I'm once again opening with Death Borg Delta, just to keep the streak alive at this point. It's really more tradition than anything. So, I don't believe it. She actually managed to land a hit on a jelly diver, no less. At this point, Death Borg Delta is more effective in a fight where she's got the least advantage. Incredible. But the dream is over.
I'll show you.
And next up is New 2. That's another turret. This one has lasers in place of the bullets, and also on gradual reload. The lasers aren't too fast, but New 2 moves a little more quickly than New 1 did. Unfortunately, getting caught in the jelly scope does me no favors, and New 2 is down. And next up is New 3. Its projectile is a blast beam, though its long charge time makes it difficult to actually hit anything with it. It can put out some damage, but again, if you can't hit, it doesn't matter.
I'll show you.
And next up is Sigma 2, who we've certainly seen in action before.
You can do?
And for those wondering why this Sigma 2 has 2 Death Eyes, it's because of a previously unmentioned mechanic called level. I haven't mentioned it before because it's largely inconsequential, but I don't really have much else to say, so here it is. Generally, in story battles, every Borg that sees a fight gains experience, 2 points for victories and 1 point for losses. Get enough experience and you level up. Now, for most Borgs, leveling up just means some extra HP or ammo, but some Borgs, like Sigma 2, gain special abilities, like an extra Death Eye that increases its firepower.
Is that the best you can do?
Now, stuff like this is part of the reason why Sigma 2 is one of the best Borgs in the game. You even managed to fly out of a jelly scope there without a hit. Now, of course, I'm speeding it up because we all know how Sigma 2 fights. I haven't popped Power Burst yet because Sho's almost out. And at this point, it's more likely he's going to go out than I am, as these divers aren't really too much of a threat to Sigma 2 here. Especially not with that endless stream of lasers. It's quite nice. Of course, I can't just relax, as getting caught in a tar scope probably would take me out. I wouldn't be able to get out in time, unlike the jelly scope earlier.
Sounds good.
Fortunately, there aren't too many divers, so this battle ends quickly enough.
Alright, that was too easy.
We'll collect our diver prizes and move on. This time we take on the bombing unit. Our former villain this time will be Orochi. Again, mixed up the force a bit, just to keep from repeating Borgs too often.
Alright, here it comes. Let's rock.
And yep, like tradition, I start with Delta 1. Probably won't be able to do much against bombers, especially these time bombers here. But she manages to score a hit, again. Though that's all she does. Next up is Omega 2. This is essentially Hammer Robot with a weaker ball. And no bombs. Unlike Beta 3, Death Borg Omega 2 can destroy projectiles with its hammer. Of course, you have much less HP than an actual hammer robot. So it's really risky to try and fight like that. Still, it manages to take out Time Bomber, and in their place come Remote Bombers. Though getting caught in a stream ends Omega 2. The next up is Omega 3, and the inverse of Omega 1 and 2. Omega 3 only has a machine gun and no melee attack. It's fine enough for enemies like these, though getting in close isn't too great an idea anyway. But Omega 3's bullets aren't very good, and if I get too far away I won't be able to hit anything. It's kind of a challenge to stay just outside of their bombing range, but close enough that they don't easily dodge my bullets. At this rate, I'm pretty sure they're doing more damage to themselves than I am. But I am knocking them around a bit, so I can't complain. Oh, I get blindsided by Time Bomber there. Although I do manage to get rid of Remote Bomber. And it seems they're waiting until Time Bomber's down before spawning the next wave. Another Time Bomber takes the field. And I'm not sure if the timer went off or if I just ran into that bomb. But either way, it didn't look good for me. And this is where I realized a walking bomb was on the field. What I don't realize is that there were two of them.
I'm not done yet.
I'm not sure why they fielded two walking bombs at the same time, but hey, their loss is my gain. I pop Power Burst here, just because we're both on fresh Borgs, and unlike the other Death Borgs, Death Borg Omega 4 has both the bulk and the weapon to make effective use of it.
That's it, not yet.
And of course, a string of remote bombs in front of me is kind of harrowing. But at this point, Orochi and I are doing alright. Given that there aren't any more walking bombs on the force, we just kind of have to keep our wits about us and not fall into a string of explosions like I did before. I'd really like to get rid of this remote bomber before losing Omega 4.
Wow.
and I'm happy with the trade. I bring in a bomb of my own, but a few shots from Time Bomber and put an end to that. Theta makes another appearance, because with Omega 4, that's the end of the upgraded Death Borgs. Theta actually manages to heal Orochi a few times. I doubt it did any damage, but that's not why she was there. And finally, Sigma is back. Unfortunately, Sigma doesn't gain extra abilities that level up. But he's still more than enough to take on these guys. Just so long as I don't do anything dumb like fly into a bomb. It's kind of difficult staying in the right range, especially when I'm moving a lot faster. And I really need to keep my eyes open so I don't fly into another string of bombs like that.
Wow.
And with a bad melee attack, Lambda 2 takes the stage.
Orochi, leave it to me.
Still, when the enemy's down to a single remote bomber, there really isn't much they can do.
Here.
And with Orochi taking the last hit, that's game, and the end of the Death Borg Tribe.
We showed them. We'll never lose.
Well, that was certainly fun, but honestly, I'm glad I never have to do that again. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.